Welcome to the Minute of Terror channel. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment where you are watching this video from.
Hey Luke, today's my day to share my story with you. I'm Sarah Johnson, and back in the 80s, I lived with my family on a farm outside Crossville, Tennessee, United States. I was just a 1-year-old, the youngest of 3 siblings. My parents, Tom and Linda, worked as caretakers on the farm, far from town. The place was quiet, surrounded by thick woods, with dirt roads and the constant hum of crickets. On Sundays and holidays, we loved visiting relatives. My mom's parents, Henry and Margaret, lived on a homestead about 6 miles away. With no car, we traveled in a horse-drawn wagon that carried us all, my parents, my siblings, and me. It all started on Good Friday, 1987. We left early to have lunch with Grandpa and Grandma. When we got to their homestead, I noticed, from what my parents later told me, that Grandpa and Grandma were uneasy, like they wanted to say something but hesitated. My dad, Tom, who knew Grandpa as a cheerful storyteller, sensed something serious was up. "What's wrong?" he asked. Grandpa brushed it off at first, saying it was nothing. But my mom, Linda, pressed, and Grandma, out of patience, said something did happen. "If you won't tell, I will." Grandma started. On Wednesday night, she couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, but sleep wouldn't come. She decided to go to the outhouse, about 30 feet from the house. She grabbed a flashlight and went out. When she opened the back door, the farm dogs ran inside, like they were scared. Grandma, in a hurry, went to the outhouse. On her way back, she saw a shadow near the fence. She stopped and stared. The shadow leaped and vanished into the woods. She rushed inside, shooed the dogs out, and tried to wake Grandpa, but he, a heavy sleeper, just rolled over and kept snoring. The next morning, Grandpa found strange tracks where Grandma saw the shadow. There were no signs of attack on the farm animals, so he went on with his day. But on Thursday night, around 8, a loud noise came from the woods behind the house. Grandpa, still awake, grabbed a shotgun. Grandma took the flashlight, and they went to check. The dogs went ahead but stopped, growling and whimpering in fear. Grandpa and Grandma tried to see something in the dark. Suddenly, a large animal stepped out of the woods, moving slowly. It stopped and stood tall, much bigger than anyone there. Its eyes glowed oddly, and it let out a deep growl. Scared, Grandpa and Grandma backed away slowly and ran inside. Hearing the story, my dad and uncles, who were at the homestead, laughed, thinking it was exaggerated. But my mom, Linda, believed it. She was worried, thinking it might be a werewolf, a creature from the old tales she heard growing up. We spent the whole day at the homestead, but as the sun started to set, my parents decided to stay late. We left around 8 at night, when darkness had already taken over the road. The nightmare began on the way home. My parents said that as we passed a secluded stretch of road, surrounded by woods, they heard noises like something was following us through the trees. The horse got spooked, sensing danger. My dad held the reins tight, because if the horse bolted, the wagon could tip over with all of us inside. We were far from home, and the noises turned into terrifying growls. My mom started praying, while my dad, desperate, gripped an old, dull machete, our only weapon. If the thing attacked, we'd have no way to fight back. In a panic, my dad stopped the wagon at the gate of a neighbor, Mr. James, and shouted for help. James recognized Tom's voice, opened the door with a flashlight, and let us rush inside. Once in the house, my parents, calmer, explained what happened on the road. From James's reaction, it seemed he already knew about the creature. Minutes later, his dogs started barking, staring at the backyard. James grabbed a shotgun, called his son, Ethan, about 18, and my dad to go check. In the yard, they saw a pair of eyes glowing about 3 feet off the ground. They aimed their weapons, but before firing, the creature stood up, huge. Under the flashlight's beam, my dad saw something he'd never forget, a hairy beast with strange eyes, growling low. To his shock, James didn't shoot. He just yelled, "Get out of here!" The beast, as if it understood, ran back into the woods. My dad was confused. Why didn't James fire? It was like he knew who the monster was. Back in the house, James handed my dad a loaded shotgun. "If it shows up, shoot," he said. We thanked him and headed home. We got there without more scares, and my dad let the horse loose. It was late, and we went to bed. But around midnight, a foul smell filled the house, just like the one in James's yard. We heard footsteps outside, like something was circling. My parents and siblings stayed in bed, pretending to sleep, terrified. Near the window, we heard snorts. We didn't move, and by some miracle, the thing left. The next morning, we found strange tracks around the house. Luckily, the creature never came back. My dad still says it was weird that James didn't shoot, like he knew the person behind the beast. We never found out who it was, or if it was really a werewolf. But the story stuck with our family, a mystery we never solved. In the 1970s, John Miller, lived in Harlan, a small mountain town in Kentucky, United States. At 25, I worked at a sawmill with my friend Mike Carter and the owner, Mr. Wilson. The cool climate drew visitors, but the town was small, with dirt roads and modest homes. At the sawmill, the buzz of saws mixed with bird song and the wind in the trees. It was just the three of us, cutting logs and stacking boards under the hot sun. The work was tough, and orders kept piling up. Soon, we couldn't keep up. Mr. Wilson decided to hire someone else. Mike, always quick to notice things, suggested a new guy in town, Frank Thompson. He lives with his wife in a house out by the woods. Mike said, "Met him hunting. Seems like a good worker, but he hasn't found a job yet." I trusted Mike's judgment, and so did Mr. Wilson. "Bring him tomorrow morning. We're short on time," he said. The next day, Frank showed up. He was tall, thin, with a paleness that stood out against the tanned faces around here. His deep-set eyes caught my attention, but his speed impressed me more. He handled logs with ease and used tools with precision. This guy's gonna help a lot, I thought. For the first few days, Frank was tireless. He cut wood, stacked boards, and worked without breaks. He seemed perfect for the job, but something about him was off. As the sun started to set, Frank got restless. He'd glance at the sky, anxious, his movements jittery. The first week, I didn't think much of it. Everyone's got their quirks, right? But over time, his behavior started to bug me. When work stretched into the evening, he'd turn into a different person. "I gotta get home," he'd say, voice tense. "My wife, Ellen, is real sick. I can't leave her alone." At first, I believed him. But months passed, and the sick wife story started sounding fishy. Why did nobody see Ellen around town? She never showed up at the market, church, or neighbors' talks. Mike, who was nosy as all get out, got suspicious too. "John, this Frank's hiding something," he said while we stacked boards. "He's never in town after dark. And his wife? Nobody's seen her. Something's up." I tried to calm him down. "Leave him be, Mike. Don't meddle in his business." But he wouldn't let it go. Mike was convinced there was a mystery. "I'm going to find out what's going on," he said, eyes gleaming. I tried to stop him. "This won't end well, Mike. Drop it." But I knew he wouldn't listen. His curiosity was bigger than any warning. One hot night, work at the sawmill ran late. As usual, Frank bolted, muttering about Ellen. Mike waited a few minutes and looked at me. "Tonight, I find out why he freaks out when it gets dark," he said. I tried to stop him, but he was already off, trailing Frank down the dirt road. I stayed behind, worried, wondering what he'd stumble into. The next morning, Mike banged on my door, pale and shaking. "John, I saw something awful," he said. He told me he followed Frank to his house, a lone shack surrounded by trees. Under the full moon's light, he saw Ellen run out to hug her husband. They went inside, and minutes later, Frank came out, locked the door with a padlock, and headed into the woods. Why lock his wife inside? Mike wondered, hiding among the trees. Curious, he followed Frank. He walked for half an hour until Frank stopped at a big tree. I thought he was going to turn into a werewolf. Mike said, But instead, Frank grabbed a bag, climbed the tree, and set up a hammock like hunters do to wait for game. Disappointed, Mike headed back. Passing Frank's house, something nagged at him. If he's just hunting, why lock Ellen in? Mike couldn't resist. He crept up to the house and heard a weird sound, like an animal growling. He peeked through a crack in a window and froze. A large, hairy creature, tied up with thick ropes and chains. When the beast sensed it was being watched, it let out a terrifying roar. Mike ran to my place, scared out of his wits. "John, it ain't Frank. It's Ellen. She's the werewolf." I tried to calm him down. "You're seeing things, Mike. Probably just some animal." But he wouldn't budge. "I know what I saw. She was chained up, snarling. That's why he locks the house." I was curious, but didn't want to believe it. The next day, Frank didn't show up at the sawmill. Not the day after, or the whole week. Mr. Wilson, fed up, decided to check his house, and I tagged along, curious. We got there and found the house empty. The doors were open, with dry leaves piled up. No furniture, no clothes, no sign of Frank or Ellen. It was like they'd never been there. I went back and told Mike. "They're gone," I said. He nodded, thoughtful. "They came here to hide their secret. When I found out, they split. They must live like that, moving town to town, so nobody knows Ellen turns into a werewolf." I stayed quiet, thinking. Frank seemed so normal during the day. But Ellen, with her frail look, was hiding something terrible at night. I never saw them again in Harlan. The story spread, and on full moon nights, old-timers say they hear growls in the woods, like the beast is still out there, chained up, hidden from prying eyes. Hey y'all, I'm Emily from Tennessee, and this story is going to give you chills. It happened way out in the sticks at a cabin we rented to celebrate my baptism. I was 12 back then, now I'm 29, but it's burned into my memory. Don't recall the exact year, but it changed everything. My family from Nashville headed to Willow Creek, a tiny town surrounded by woods, creeks, and hills. My dad, Mike, was a state trooper, tough but a softer with us. He found this cabin for the weekend. Had a pool, a grill, and a thick forest around it, like a wall of pines and thorny bushes, with that damp, earthy smell. We got there Saturday afternoon, sun blazing. My mom, Sarah, who's a wizard with desserts, baked a huge baptism cake, decked out with white frosting and little sugar crosses. I got baptized at the local church, a sweet little service, with the preacher splashing holy water and Mom tearing up. Then we headed to the cabin. About 20 folks showed up, aunts, uncles, cousins, all laughing, eating ribs and sipping sweet tea. My brother, Ethan, the family clown, was in rare form. He loved messing with me. During the party, he grabbed a chunk of cake and smeared it on my face. "Looking baptized with frosting now, sis," he laughed, cracking up. I was ticked off. "You're dead, Ethan," I yelled, grabbing some cake to chuck back. My cousins Lily and Ava, 8 and 10, were giggling like crazy. "Get him. Emily, don't let him off," they cheered. Ethan, being quick, bolted outside, straight into the woods around the cabin. I chased him, Lily and Ava trailing, though we were a bit spooked since the sun was dipping low and the woods looked dark. We crunched through leaves, twigs snapping, branches scratching our arms. "Ethan, come back, you chicken," I shouted, but he just laughed, ducking behind trees, making spooky noises like, "Oh, I'm the boogeyman." Ava, the youngest, was getting nervous. "Emily, let's go back. It's getting dark," she said. But I was set on catching Ethan. My cousin Tom, Ava's dad, saw the ruckus and hollered from a porch. "Yo, Ethan, quit it. These woods ain't safe at night. Folks round here talk about weird critters roaming." Ethan, stubborn as a mule, shot back. "Come on, Tom. That's just old ghost stories to scare kids. I ain't buying it." And he darted deeper into the woods, vanishing into the shadows. He was maybe 50 yards from the cabin, near a big oak with roots poking out of the dirt. Then he froze, looking around. I caught up. "What's wrong, scaredy cat? Done running?" He shushed me. "Quiet, Emily, you hear that?" I stopped, and then I heard it too. Heavy footsteps, like something big stomping through the leaves, slow and steady, coming from the dark. Ethan went pale. "Who's there? Lily, is that you?" he asked, voice shaky. Nothing, just silence, except for the wind rustling the trees. Then came a breath, real close, warm, like something was right by his neck. He spun around, but only saw shadows and branches. My heart was racing. "Ethan, run," I yelled. Before he could move, a low, guttural growl hit us, freezing my blood. It was like a mad dog, but deeper, wilder, like something way bigger. Ethan screamed, "Run, Emily!" He took off, tripping over roots, branches clawing at his arms. Me and the girls ran too, hearts pounding. Ethan fell, scrambled up, and we crashed into each other, tumbling in the dirt, leaves flying everywhere. "Something's after us," he shouted, voice full of panic. We made it back to the cabin, collapsing on the grass, gasping. Dad, who was flipping burgers at the grill, stormed over mad. "What in tarnation, Ethan? You scaring the girls?" Ethan, still shaking, tried to explain. "Dad, something was in the woods. I heard it breathing, growling. It wasn't a joke." Everyone laughed, thinking it was Ethan being Ethan. Mom rolled her eyes. "Stop making stuff up, boy." But I saw the fear in his eyes. He wasn't lying. The party kept going, with country music blaring, burgers sizzling, and the cousins dancing. Ethan stayed quiet, sitting in a corner, staring at the woods like he expected something to jump out. I tried to tease him. "Scared now, huh?" He just muttered, "You weren't that close, Emily." It was real. It stuck in my head, but I pushed it aside. Night fell fast, the sky pitch black, stars bright, but the woods felt like they swallowed all the light. By 7, Dad locked everything, doors, windows. "This is the boonies, better be safe," he said, checking his .38 revolver he always kept close. We spread out to sleep, me and the cousins on a pull-out couch in the living room. I lay down but couldn't sleep, thinking about that growl Ethan heard. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to weird noises. Scratching, like claws on wood, coming from the porch. I sat up, heart racing. "Lily, Ava, wake up. Something's out there." They stirred, groggy, but then heard it too. Heavy steps on the grass, like big paws hitting the ground. Mom woke up. "Mike, for God's sake, check that out." Dad, already grabbing his revolver, crept to the porch, steps slow but steady. We followed, even though he hissed, "Stay back." He flicked on the outside light, and his eyes locked on the woods. That thing came right up to the porch, he whispered, pointing at the ground. There were huge paw prints, deep claw marks in the dirt, way bigger than any dog's. My stomach churned. "Mike, what is that?" Mom asked, voice shaky. Dad didn't answer, just gripped his gun tighter. "Stay inside," he ordered. But then another growl came, louder from behind the house. Dad sprinted that way, and we, too stubborn to stay put, ran after him. On the back porch, I glimpsed it, a big, shaggy shadow, eyes glinting in the dark. "Get back," Dad yelled, aiming his revolver. He fired into the air. Bang! The sound echoed, and the thing bolted, branches snapping as it fled into the woods. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. We scrambled inside, and Dad barricaded the door with a table. "Nobody leaves till morning," he said, dead serious. "Ethan, why does a sheet?" Mumbled, "That was it, Dad. Same thing from the woods." I asked Dad, "Was that a werewolf?" He shook his head. "Not talking about it now. Stay quiet." All night, we heard distant howls, soft scratches on the walls, like something was testing the windows. Mom prayed under her breath, "Lord, keep us safe." I hugged Lily and Ava, trying not to cry. Ethan clutched a baseball bat he found, ready for anything. Come morning, the sun was a relief. Tom came by to grab some stuff, and we told him everything. He got real serious. "Y'all, that's a werewolf. Round Willow Creek, old-timers talk about critters walking on 2 legs, snatching folks in the woods." Dad nodded. "I ain't doubting it no more. We're out of here." We packed up fast, hearts still racing, glancing at the woods, half expecting something to leap out. We loaded the truck, tires kicking up dust on the dirt road. We peeled out, never looking back. I ain't been back to that cabin since. I tell friends now, and they laugh, but I know it was real. The fear, the chase, that growl, it's with me forever.